Order now at macros.com.au.
Welcome to GTV ANZ, the gaming channel created by Ubisoft. Every Tuesday and Friday on YouTube, we'll be doing fast plays, game challenges, 1v1 face-offs, and so much more. You happy?
When did we get a dog?
It's a good question.
I'm running out of time. I'm running out on a feeling so. I'm running out of time.
And now, it's all on the save to play a heroic.
It's Playday 6 of the Oceanic Nationals here for Stage 3. We are down to the very, very busy end. Just 2 Playdays remaining to see which teams are going to make the playoffs, which teams are going to head to the relegations, and which casters are going to show up on the broadcast tonight, because the last 2 nights it's just been hot potato here. Tonight it's Steph Marner, myself, and of course Vast, as always, our stalwart figure on the broadcast. I'll go to you first, Vast, since you were here yesterday. What a night it was.
Yes, last night was pretty insane. Just more so just the siege that we got to see. It was really fast-paced siege. I mean, the night ended a lot quicker than we thought as well. But I think I'm even more excited for tonight, to be honest. Just, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm always excited for every single night. Let's go and have a look at the standings, of course. Yesterday very much shaped the standings in a whole new direction. Some for the good, some for the bad. Obviously, the big one, Dev, is that Rhythm couldn't quite live up to the hype. They couldn't quite live up to their expectations, and Order come through. And now we've got a bit of a logjam in that sort of bottom 4, bottom 5 scenario here. The top 3, they're all in.
Yeah, for sure. While that was a bit of a sting for Rhythm, Order definitely glad now that they have found their first win. Every team in the league has at least 1 win now. But like you said, bit of a logjam. This is the second last Playday tonight. So by the end of the night, we're going to have a really clear idea of how the standings will shape. For now, what we know is that Chiefs, Knights, and Bliss are all fighting for that #1 spot, but are locked in for playoffs because of the gauntlet format we need, or that we use. You need to get every single placer up. You don't have, if you seed first, you just go straight into that grand final. We have a couple teams that could lock in tonight and next week. Overt really looking to make an insane opening season here. Like, they came in from OCL and they're looking on track to make it to playoffs now. Wildcard is another one to talk about. They need to win tonight, otherwise they're actually in a spot for relegations, which is certainly going to be really impactful. I have no doubt there's going to be a lot of pressure mounting for them.
This brings us to our schedule, of course, here for Playday 6 and the matches at hand, as you've already sort of alluded to. Some of them very important, others maybe not so much, but really when you do glance at this little schedule, Vast, it really much seems to be every single game has got some sort of storyline attached to it.
Yeah, I think almost every game's important for every team. I mean, even, you know, Knights, Chiefs, and Bliss, I'm sure those guys are going to want the best seed possible, as that does mean they have to play less games. And, you know, I know from first-hand experience, you know, when you have to play one BO3 and then hop straight into a BO5, it can be, you know, quite fatiguing. So, you know, those guys are definitely going to want to get the best result possible. So for everyone here, you know, tonight is a really important night.
Dev, I really want your thoughts sort of on the matchups here that have caught your eye in terms of their importance.
Oh, look, it's hard to just say one because all of these do have significant repercussions. That Rufflecopter Overt game is the most obvious one that your eyes are drawn to because very evenly matched teams, both of them fighting for playoffs positions. If Overt win tonight, they will be locked in for the playoffs. Another really impactful one is that Bliss wildcard game. Now, that shouldn't on paper be a close match. Bliss have clearly been one of the best teams in the league, wildcard in shaky form, but this is kind of a last stand for Wildcard. A year ago, they were the undisputed #1 team in the Oceanic region, and now if they lose that game, then they will be playing in relegations and potentially relegated into OCL. There's a lot of up-and-coming teams, Big Dogs and Fury, down there that are going to be fighting for that spot. Wildcard, they need to have an upset win against Bliss, otherwise they're going to have to play those out.
You already mentioned, of course, one of the matches that has your eye. Well, it has our eye, of course, as the match of the day. Roflcopter versus Avert for many different reasons. Of course, Avert can lock up their top place in the playoffs. And of course, we've got our M-Wave giveaway for those who aren't aware from the Rainbow Six Bravo channel. Of course, we've got the Rainbow Six ANZ channel where we also are going to be giving away a $50 code. So if you want to pop over there, show some love to the local channel. That will happen, of course, during the match of the day later on, which is our third match of the day. Moving ahead, though, of course, to what is our first match, and it has its own sort of ramifications. Order versus Knights. It's a pretty big one, Vast, in many different ways. Of course, for Knights, if they win this, they continue their sort of pathway to maybe a top seed, whether it's 1 or 2 in the playoffs. For Order, it's almost that must-win territory.
It's definitely a must-win. I mean, historically, Order have beaten Knights, so I think that even though on paper it might look like, you know, Knights are the favorite here, historically Order have been quite comfortable versing them, so it's definitely not you know, unrealistic for them to grab maximum points in this matchup.
And obviously, before we do head to that game, we've got our predictions. I'm probably less so inclined to actually want to look at this for a multitude of reasons, being the fact that I'm not first, and Guz is unfortunately 13-7. He does lead the way. Although I'm not doing too bad, I am in second place with the lovely Mandy, our wonderful observer. But Dev, what's going on this stage?
Look, I'm just having fun. I'm just happy to be here. You know, 8-12. It's just I'm taking inspiration from my ranked games. KD is just the same as correct and incorrect predictions. So, you know, I'm going all in. I will say, every time we bring up this predictions graphic, I completely have forgotten, because we do these at the start of the week, right? We submit them to Snowball. I cannot believe I put Roflcopter over Overt. If I was asked that, I'd probably put Overt. I don't know. Like, it's just how it is sometimes, you know? Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe not.
Yeah, but Vast, honestly, there's a couple of matches here that have some little tweaks, being, of course, Roffle and Avert. No surprise there. It's our match of the day. But what's with Manic going with Order over Knights?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a method to Manic's madness. I mean, he always stands out and does these kind of wacky predictions compared to the rest of us, but somehow he does get them right. So, to be honest, I don't know. I think Manic's going to get that one correct. And I kind of agree with Dev. Like, I was thinking today, why did I predict Roffle? I don't know. If I did my predictions this morning, I definitely would have done it. But I'm going to still stick with it. You just have to.
Yeah, it's very difficult, of course, as we know, to predict. Unless you're Guz, apparently he is just the king predictor. Let's go to our first matchup of the evening, though. Knights and Order to do battle. We'll talk about Order first, though, of course. They've got a lot on the line here, Dev, where they pretty much have to win. Maybe it's not like do or die territory like Wildcard later on tonight, but it's basically the same.
Yeah, that's it. Order have made playoffs stage 1 and stage 2. Coming to stage 3, they didn't win a single match for 4 playdays straight. They were looking absolutely shocking. Coming to last night, though, they finally did get their first win, took down Rhythm. Despite a lot of us backing Rhythm, they salvaged their dignity, and now they need to salvage the stage 3. Playoffs are possible, but very, very difficult.
Definitely is the case. Of course, a team that had high expectations coming in this stage, Vast, to deal with those inconsistency issues, and yet haven't quite been able to do that, and maybe even gone in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I think last night they showed a few glimpses of promise. I mean, they changed their approach and play style slightly, and I still think it was kind of a shaky win, but, you know, a win is a win, and I'm sure that has given them the confidence coming into today's game.
Their opponents, of course, Knights, they probably don't need too much confidence, Dev. They're looking very good. In fact, they're a team that has struggled generally in the past in OCN. For the most part, I mean, they're struggling as you can to still make all the playoffs, but they are really setting the pace here. Currently in second place, 4 wins, only the 1 loss. They're looking like the team that we expect them to be, usually as they are in APAC South now here in OCN.
Yeah, look, it hasn't been the best season in APAC South, funnily enough, for these guys. They've actually copped 2 losses to Invictus and Q-Confirm, both teams that they have had some success on in the past. But here in OCN, they have turned it up a little bit. I know that Picnic, the coach on Twitter, has been expressing his frustration, saying that he thinks that they got a little complacent, and he includes himself in that, and they're looking to really run a tighter ship now. And we saw that last night. These guys took down Bliss. That was considered an upset, despite this team being so good. Bliss just has a way with OCN, especially in the BO1s, and Knights are the first team to give them their L. So I think this is a really exciting time for Knights, and honestly, they should do away with Order pretty handily.
Vast, I do want your thoughts here on this Knights roster. We saw the historical matchup. We remember back to the last time these two teams played. Do you sense it's going to be a very different tale this time around?
Yeah, I just think Order have been way too inconsistent this season. I think Knights, they're in pretty good form. Like, there've been a few hiccups, but I think that's just maybe the expectations we're just setting them. We're kind of used to seeing them maybe be a bit more dominant, but with that being said, they're still playing really well. Last night against Bliss, they played really good siege. There was a few issues that I still saw in their game, but I'm confident that they've probably had a discussion, and going to this game, they'll probably try to work on those issues.
We're going to the map vetoes. Before it does pop out down the bottom, I just want to say it's going to be Villa.
Oh my!
Let's go. To be fair, now I'm gonna go back to Vast on this one first, because we did have a little discussion about it, Vast, and we both kind of thought there's no way it goes anywhere but Villa.
Yeah, well, I mean, I knew what it was gonna. Well, I didn't know, but I predicted that it was gonna go to Oregon and Villa. I just didn't know if Order would go Villa again. I mean, it's funny because we were talking about it before, and Order have won stage 1 and 2 against Knights on Villa. With that being said, Knights Villa is looking slightly better. The way they played against Bliss, I think, I definitely would kind of put them as the favorites for this map. It's interesting, Order did ban Oregon. I don't know, I thought that they actually haven't been playing that bad on Oregon. Despite losing to Over, it still was a close game. But yeah, that is very surprising.
Dev, quickly, you're the match tracker guy. Anything you want to add to this before we kind of wrap up?
Knights have been super inconsistent on Villa, and yeah, like last night they beat Bliss 7-5, that's great. But last time they versed Order on Villa was stage 2, that was the historical match. They lost 7-1. Knights also lost 7-1 a couple weeks back to Chiefs in OCN. And then, the night before that, they beat Wildcard 7-1. So that is what you call a lot of inconsistency for the Knights. Look, I think they're going to tighten things up. I think this should be their game. Order, they have salvaged their dignity. I don't think they're going to be able to salvage their stage, unfortunately. I think they left a little bit too late.
Yeah. Vast, very quickly, your prediction for this match?
I predict Knights to win in a pretty dominant fashion.
Ooh, we'll see if that does play out. Let's head into our first match of the day, though, for Playday 6 of OCN. It is Order versus Knights over on Villa. A repeat of our historical matchup. How is that about that one, Dev? I do suspect, though, it's going to have a different result.
It may well do. Honestly, we should see a Knights return to form here, but Order are ready for upsetting, and they've already found their confidence last night against Rhythm. They also know they've done it before against Knights. Now, looking at Bailey's camera, no shenanigans tonight. We've seen him do the top-down camera taped to the roof. We've seen it taped to his headset in first-person view. He's just going to chill out tonight and make it nice and easy.
So we head back to Villa, and we've kind of already started to set up some of the storylines to sort of re-engage on them. For Order, pretty simple. Got to find a way to win here. They've already reinvigorated themselves off the back of their win yesterday against Rhythm, where, they were the underdogs, actually. For all intensive purposes, Rhythm was the favored team. Coming into tonight, though, again, they find themselves as the underdog. And I think Order, if they played their absolute best, are more than capable of taking it to the Knights and finding a victory. Thatcher, Nomad bans, nothing really too surprising so far here. On the defense we go. It is going to be the Kaid, though.
I like that Kaid ban. It's going to be a lot easier to clear off any wall denial. It'll just be the Mute and the Bandit, and these days Mute is even a little bit less effective with the change to his radius. The shape of his radius, rather. And look, honestly, there shouldn't be anything too surprising for Order here. I mean, they usually ban the Kaid on this map, and so they're kind of used to playing in this environment without the Thatcher, without the Kaid. And look, as for the Knights, I think that, again, just that clash ban, nice and staple. It's one that we see Order really like to abuse. And while it's not always perfect for them, it's clear that Knights just don't want to deal with that whatsoever.
Knights on the defense first, Order on the attack. Yesterday, of course, they defeated Rhythm on Chalet, in which their attack was very much fruitful. Off the back of Bailey for the most part. Dev, that was, I almost called you Guz. I'm just going to say, this is weird,
Wow.
but...
Can I just say, it has been a long time since we cast together. Was it 6 Masters 2019?
It was 6, it was, yeah, no, I don't think it was 2019.
2020, right?
2020, yeah. Still though, Bailey was the difference maker, and being on the attack here in this matchup now, it kind of looks to him to sort of replicate that if Order are to do well here.
Yeah, look, Bailey, old mate, was MVP yesterday, well-deserved, and I love the fact that he can have a bit of fun, meme it up, while also lighting up the server. But as we see the community vote, Omen community vote, you can go to R6 Esports OCE to participate in the next one for our coming matches. But Knights looking to take that pretty handily, and honestly, Xenox, I feel like that is a 68% Knights, 32% Order. That's pretty accurate for what I think most people would say.
Yeah, as Guz knows, I'm always a little bit nitpicky, and I would say it's probably 70-30 kind of split, but, you know,
so
2% off.
The 2%.
Yeah, look, you know, there's a bit of leeway there. AVG is going to be our first sight here on Villa. No real surprises there. The big question is going to be, how does Order sort of break through here? They're bringing in the Lion with Jack Daddy. They've got the Flores as well through Bailey, so look to them to, I guess, try and clear out a lot of utility and then open things up, make that push in the late game.
Shout out to Mandy on obs as always. I like this Flores, you know, very easily clear that shield. Assuming the radius is there. Okay, it just was. I was a bit concerned there for a second for Bailey. And that's going to make Juicy's position much more difficult, especially now we got Nico pushing from below. We can have pressure come from the study entrance as well, since that shield has been destroyed. And with Order, they're just turning their attention to this vertical game at the moment. Now, there is no wall denial, but Order can also displace any players on site now using particular Nico's nades. We've seen a lot of good vertical nades in OCN, and I would be surprised if Nico doesn't find at least something with them.
Yeah, and vert control is going to be very important in this matchup, I feel. The last time we saw Order here on Villa, they had that match against the Chiefs, and here it was actually very vertically dominated from both teams. In fact, Sage actually finds the opening pick onto Nate. That's going to be the Hibana off the board, so in terms of hard breach potential, that's going to hinder Order's attack slightly, and there's still a minute and a half remaining, so around that sort of mid-section of the match here, Order definitely trying to establish down below, but are they going to be able to actually attack above late into the round?
Oh my god. Oh, no. This is a very nervous duel here for Juicy. Now, Juicy's just been such a highlight player, and he's so good on the smoke, such a good SMG-11 player. But Order are being pretty precarious here, just playing at the bottom of the stairs. They send some util Juicy's way. Juicy falls back, and then re-aggresses, but loses the fight. So Nico does take that opener. Sage, though, fights back! Oh my goodness, looking for the ace. Shut down by Bailey. But it doesn't take long for Knights to recompose. My God, what a play from Sage.
Yeah, absolutely crucial. Top of main stairs, able to just clean up defensively for the Knights. Ended up, I think, getting 3 in total, and then there was some trades elsewhere on the map as well. And Knights, I think, just sort of flexing their muscles in terms of their prowess in these sort of exchanges. But Order, though, I don't think it was all that bad. We saw the impact of the Flores early game. They were clearly trying to establish vert control down below. Losing Nate relatively somewhat early and didn't have him available to open up everything late game probably hindered them a little bit, forced them up main stairs, and Sage was just ready and waiting.
Yeah, huge play from him. Really exciting to see Sage stepping up once again. He's the player that when we see him light up the server, it's just so impressive. He's such a mechanically talented player, but he's also a very vocal player on the team, plays a bit of a leadership role. And as a result of that, I think sometimes we do see him kind of lacking in the frag department. So it's really nice when you see him just flourishing, really stepping into that. Good start here for Knights, though. Order, though, I will say, you know, they found a decent push there, taking down Juicy, but it's just like the re-aggression from Knights was so well read, and I think Order probably should have refragged that. Like, there were 3 players went down to Sage there, and they just need to maybe tighten up. If they're going to be stacking a lot of players together, they just need to be a little bit tighter on their refrags.
One thing I sort of really want to highlight here, and already spoke about it in the first round, that vert play, but this is going to be even more impactful here on Stat Trophy. This is where we saw it really have the impact the most from Order last time they were here on Villa. So look to them again to probably try and establish down below around this kitchen area, and then really try and flush out Knights from above and make sure they can't just sit on the site for free. And it just means that they've got that vert control down below. So it depends on how Knights are going to want to sort of play this defensively too. If they're going to put that pressure down below, as they probably should, to deny that from Order. Force them to go elsewhere and maybe come in horizontally, push through from, say, AVG and force that choke point.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, the vert game is once again going to be a focus here. Once again going to be that first step. Wow, nice C4 there from Hayward, but it doesn't actually secure the kill. A lot of damage though. No Finker on the cards. So it's going to remain damaged for the rest of this round. Oh, I like the Lion scan. That means that Order's likely starting to really push in. It looks like Spec has come from all the way down below. That's a really nice nade from Nico, but he doesn't quite get it deep enough into Bathroom. For now, though, we're seeing Order really start to put the pressure on. Hayward's still down here, though.
But you've got to remember, in terms of time right now, this is pretty decent for Knights as well. There's only a minute 40 remaining. Now, Order can, of course, if they find a pick, Specker very low. Hayward does eventually go down. A little bit of help as well from Nate. Specker doing the majority of that work. Finally establishing full kitchen control, and they do get the kill onto Hayward, but there's only a minute and a half remaining in the round. And, of course, sights upstairs. Two-man advantage, though, could mean that even with a bit of time bled here or there, still very possible for Order to make this work. Once Bailey figures out how to get his Gemini out. You see a lot of health damage, though, on Order as well. Jack and Nico, the only still at 100. Or max, I should say, because 100 is no longer max. Oh, hello! Specker just swings up. Juicy really caught off guard. And now it's just going to spiral. My God, you said the time was on their side, but it ends up being flawless for Order. Specker back on the Ash where he belongs. Yeah, and full credit to Order. They brought the vert game. There was only the one real player down below for Knights inside of Kitchen. And, of course, then Order had the numbers, right? Spec and Nate were able to sort of 2v1 that little situation. Then from there was really nothing else stopping them from getting full vert control. And they were able to establish good positions upstairs as well. And eventually just sort of strangled the Knights and just got a lot of sort of 1v1s or even 2v1s quite a lot of the times. Like, even Juicy's positioning there, I think it was in Astro, like, I think there was like two different Order players looking at his position. He was just dead to rights, 100%. So full credit to Order, really well played. Knights looking to repeat kind of suggests, are they going to be able to sort of adapt here? Are they going to put a bit more pressure down below?
Yeah, I definitely think that just having that kind of solo roamer Hayward unsupported downstairs, not really the play. Particularly because they lost that refrag. Like, I appreciate Knights looking to kind of support Hayward late, just after he died. The second player tried to refrag, can't remember who that was, and they fell straight away. So I feel like you either need to commit to like roaming early, having someone support Hayward, or just don't bother. And maybe have, like, if Hayward roams solo and dies, wastes 2 minutes, that's pretty fair. But it was just the fact that, you know, the refrag actually ended up biting Knights in the backside, and then they played a little bit too aggressive in the 3v5, which honestly is what you kind of are meant to do in a 3v5. But Order just kind of read into it and spiraled off that advantage.
Yeah, Hayward definitely can't play down here by himself. I think they're going to have to commit roughly 2 players or so if they're going to be a little bit more of a hindrance to denying Order this vert control and kitchen dining. Yeah, and they're just going to go for it once again early on in the game. Don't waste too much time. Establish it early. They're going to have people on the windows upstairs as well, outside of like Astro bedroom. And right now it looks like Order just more than happy to sort of repeat this again. They can adapt though. If Knights do put a lot of pressure, we will see Order sort of fall off, and then they will most likely go either straight for sight or they may sweep across if they've got a bit of time.
Oh, so close there. Juicy's playing these vertical lines, but he didn't see Spec across through to China. Knights just think that that's clear, then could bite them in the backside, but I don't think they're taking any gambles at this stage. You can see how passive Hayward's playing. Oh, there's the vertical angle back. Specker very aware. Juicy needs to be careful not to overpeak and lose his utility early.
The one good thing here for Juicy, though, playing in Bathroom there is there's no real sense of worriedness that someone's going to push him from above. It's all very much just down below right now from Order. There's no one, you know, they've got full Astro control, for instance, so he can obviously hold that sight line. Doesn't have to worry too much. Still a minute 40 seconds remaining, so the biggest thing right now for Knights is they just haven't lost a player yet, so they've still got at least pressure. But I think right now for Order, they've got that vert control, so now they can start to actually go for sight, from above here. This is still really good for Order. Unless they lose a player like Bailey, that wouldn't be ideal.
Like that they had a Valk cam downstairs just for info. You know, you're not going to enable any C4s off that, but you might be able to enable a play. Here comes Specker, and he's already taken down that Banshee. He's so eager to get aggressive here. He might actually be able to fight back through the vert as well. And Order have made some really good progress. Fantastic placement of the gas from Juicy, but the opening pick goes to Order, and they have so much map control.
Yeah, you can see that because of the vert control down below, it's pushed the Knights back off site completely. So now they're playing and they're allowing Order to get full control of Bathroom, a full control of Astro. Juicy very low on health as well on site. He'll go down pretty quickly. There's a big trade happening, 3 versus 2 in favor of Order. Bailey's able to get Josh, 3 for the round. That's what we expect. Juicy's got literally no health, no chance here in a 3 versus 1. That's just a Gemini. They have full knowledge of his position as well. 30 seconds left. Diffuser going down by Jack Dad. Bailey does not allow Juicy to catch him from behind. He gets a quad in the round, and Order are looking amazing right now here on Villa.
But they are. Those stat trophy attacks are looking mint. You look at that, man. Jack is hydrated AF and ready to play. Once again, a great performance from Bailey. I will say Specker, really nice seeing him on a clean entry, and I've seen him on a lot of Nomad in the past, kind of a bit more of a flank watch role, but I mean, he is a flex, he does all kinds of things, but I just love seeing him have that, I guess, just the confidence to just go make a play, push up Astro stairs, really flourishing. And overall, I'm obviously happy for Order. They've taken the lead here, but I will just keep in mind that that's just 2 stat trophy attacks. If I'm Knights, I might not go back to stat trophy again. You know, obviously they'll go to Aviator Games here. If they win this, go to Dining. And, you know, if you win that, then maybe retry stat trophy. But I feel like as long as Knights have confidence in their Dining and Kitchen defense, they really shouldn't be going back to stat trophy.
Easier said than done though, right?
Yeah,
the fact that they haven't gone to Kitchen Dining, they had 2 opportunities to do so. They went stat trophy both times. Probably doesn't suggest that their Kitchen Dining is going to be impeccable. And the other thing as well, and I'm going to just say it, is Order's Kitchen Dining attacks are very much quite similar to the way that they play stat trophy, right? Because of the fact that the vert itself remains the same between the 2 sites. They'll just put more pressure actually on stat trophy, get establishment above, and then eventually late round they'll push onto site into Kitchen Dining. So they played it very well against the Chiefs. That site too, it's not going to be a given for the Knights. They need to win this AVG though. This is the big one. They already won it successfully in the first round, and they can do so again here. At least gets them to a second round. Otherwise, right now, if Order get to 3-1, they can really blow open this first half.
Specker really loves entering Pantry. I think if anyone's voting this, they're going to be pretty confident in a lot of Order's pathing here, because they are seemingly doing very similar things over and over. But obviously that's for another time. For now, Knights won't necessarily have all that info. Order are taking a lot of good map control, but still some pressure from the Knights. No opportunity for Vert, thanks to Specker lurking down below. But a good shot here for Knights to hold on to stat and trophy for as long as possible. Hopefully find a pick. If not possible, just fall back after delaying time and then bunker down in Aviator Games.
Yeah, and because of Specker's push through Pantry, they've already established that control down below. They've already got Astro control, so they've really got half the map, both top floor and bottom floor, already under the control here of Order, which is great for sort of the late game. That they do have to sort of commit to one or the other here. Do they go vert? Doesn't seem like it. This looks more like a horizontal sweep across at this point with a little bit of vert down below and sweep down below at late game, but yeah, this is a little bit different from Order compared to the opening round. Obviously, they didn't win the opening round, so it makes sense that they're trying something different.
Yeah, for sure. I will say, though, that opening round was close, so got to have a lot of confidence in Order here, and they could still rotate for a Tom's push if they want, but that's going to be the opener, surely. Specker has everything he needs to secure this. Bailey's actually going to go in deep for it. A lot of vertical angles. Oh my god, Sage. Once again, he owns the main stairs, and Juicy from the vertical angle as well. Order got absolutely jebaited.
Yeah, a little bit sort of drawn to the player there, forgot about the environment. Well played from the Knights. They sort of lured them into a bit of a trap from Juicy and Sage. And that also now means that establishing any sort of vert control down below of games is going to be virtually impossible. There's 37 seconds left. basically it's send on to site time. That's not going to be easy, especially with Juicy getting a large tag onto Jack Dad. Dino gets the kill onto Nico. Nate does come from the corridor, but I think it's too late. Sage, he has just been a menace at the top of main stairs. Jack Dad has no chance in hell. Sage gets another one. Knights complete their AVG defense, but now the question is asked, Dev, can they win on other sites in the remaining 2 rounds?
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. Knights have really locked in that Aviator games, but you know, the nature of Siege, the ruling is that after you win a site, it's locked for 2 rounds. So in a half of 6 rounds, you can only play your best site twice. So they're going to have to go here to kitchen dining. Look, I like that they're mixing it up. Stat trophy, just it looked pretty hopeless for them. You know, it was a flawless round followed up by a nigh flawless rounds on the follow-up. So I think that kitchen dining has got to have some more success for them. And while you did mention there's a lot of similarities between the 2 bomb sites, the vert goes, you know, from one way to the other. The change here is that Order just can't end to pantry and just hard hit like they've been doing for the most part. They have to go and take top floor first, or ignore that top floor control and then be vulnerable to any vert.
Yeah, and if I do remember back to the last time they played this, that vert control above Stat Trophy, Astro, Bathroom, all of that was very much sort of the main concern for Order first and foremost. Then it was Pantry though. So they definitely still put a lot of emphasis on eventually that late round execution through Pantry, trying to find kills, because once you've got that vert control, the idea is that you can at least be able to maybe get through Pantry because you've cleared out Kitchen, for example. So we'll see if that sort of does play out once again here from Order. The other thing as well, and I should mention, you know, that Order, despite sort of playing the way they have thus far, they weren't as successful against the Chiefs on their attacks on Villa. They actually only won the 1 attacking round, despite playing in a pretty similar manner to how they've actually played this match so far. So that's good news for Order, right? You kind of use that previous experience, adjust a little bit, and they've done that so far to get 2 rounds.
It's like Order's really keen to get control down living, but there's quite a significant roam here. It's going to be very difficult to entry. Juice is just holding a passive angle, waiting for the sound of Specker vaulting in the door. He would have heard the drones already. Nico's already been taken down. Sage is having a ripper game. Already found the opening here onto Nico. While he is locked in place, a refrag from Order is going to be quite difficult, especially when there's still other roamers to worry about. Juicy and Hayward as well, really supporting him. And this has just put Knights one step ahead of Order, who are now on the back foot, 3 on 5.
Yeah, and this is basically round over for the most part, unless Order can, I guess, make use of a Knight's mistake. Like, that's probably what needs to happen here. Nate's actually on site. He's straight into dining.
Nice
he actually
bait.
does get the kill onto Juicy. This does mean Knights, of course, have got information. They can sort of reconvene, converge onto this position. Specker goes down to Dino. Nate's already very low as it is, and Bailey can't really play off of him right now, so he needs to try and make his way over to site. There's a minute and a half remaining, so I guess for Order, they don't have to rush this. They can hope that Knights maybe make a mistake. Maybe Bailey can find a kill or 2 and keep things alive here for Order, but it's looking quite perilous.
Oh, that's a nice angle, Bailey. Oh, had he landed that? He doesn't. Josh is in such a good spot here in Secret, but the crossfires are just too real here for Knights. And that was a fairly easy cut and dried round. Sage still having an absolute tear with that, of course, MP5 with the Knight skin. And Xenox, it looks like Knights have made this half theirs. However, they are now locked out of Aviator games. They're locked out of dining. They're going to have to go back for the 3rd time to Stat and Trophy.
Yeah, and this is where you hope you learn by what's gone wrong. And what has gone wrong in both times on Stat Trophy is allowing Order to just get vert control too early on into the round. And then Order are playing off of that, clearing site above Stat Trophy. They're getting forced back over towards like AVG side. That means that Order can then get in through Astro and Bathroom and Bedroom, and then they're basically on site. So, and from that, they're also finding a lot of kills, a lot of 2v1s. Knights are trying to sort of have that one player roaming down below, but then it just gets overwhelmed. So what do you do if you're Knights then? Do you do like a 2-3 split? 3 up, 2 down below, a little bit more pressure down below? I'm very much keen to see how they're going to do this. Or if they maybe just back themselves in, play a pretty much similar style to how they were playing at Stat Trophy before, and just hope that they can hit their shots a bit better.
look, on the whole, it doesn't look like there's a substantial change for Knights here. A lot of these ops
the
are
Maestro.
the same. It's the
Maestro's
Maestro
the difference.
that's the main difference there. No more Wamai. I think that's fair. I haven't really seen much of that Wamai utility, the magnets, playing into it. I don't know about this Maestro, though. I mean, it feels like Knights actually going to play more passively. Maestro is a very passive operator, very much like an info op, very much a kind of site anchor with a lot of plant denial potential. Yeah, I don't know. Like, aside from having, it looks like one of the Sage is now roaming with Hayward, I believe. So maybe they'll just try and hold on by moving where they are.
Well, I guess in theory, and I could be wrong here, but if you place the Evil Eye above, you can say, right, I can now go roam below because we've got at least some info being gathered from that Evil Eye. Specker, of course, straight through Pantry as he always does, but they definitely needed 2 roaming down below, and they have definitely done that. In fact, I think it might be 3 down below. Sage catches Specker and says, this time around, you are not going to be allowed to roam down below for free. They get that kill, and this is already the difference between the other 2 rounds, Dev. The kill is one thing, but it's how they've established this kill. More pressure down below, denying the vert from Order, and so far, this has been a successful round from Knights.
Oh, this was the play with the Maestro. It's just an op with impacts. I mean, I guess Wamai had impacts already, but that first impact nade can clear off some of that utility. It looks like the second one might have gone through. Now, did we get a breach? Oh, no. That must have been a really nice throw there. And because of that, there's still no breach on the wall and no Hibana pellets left for nade. Now he's shut down, and my God, that's why you picked the Maestro for the bullet hose. Josh is having a field day here in stat. We've called it all on camera. Now Knights can just hold on with 2 players who need to push.
And it definitely feels like with Josh's presence on site, that allows and opens up a player like Sage, for instance, to go down below with Hayward, and we've already seen that pay dividends early on in the round. So I think you can kind of see how Knights have adapted here. They've done it really well. They've absolutely denied Order all sorts of positioning. What an absolute flawless round, and really highlights why they're such a magnificent team here. Opening half, 4-2 to the Knights.
What a comeback for the Knights. They really made that half theirs. 3 rounds in a row to take the lead. Going into the second half, they are looking very, very good.
Yeah, they ended up kind of speedrunning the end of that first half. We know what else is faster, of course, from one of our sponsors, Samsung, with their NVMe SSDs. Lovely range, of course. They are one of our presenting partners. We're always very thankful to have them on board. You can check out their latest range. Simply type !SSD in Twitch chat to go and have a look. Of course, 4-2 half. Yeah, pretty quick in the end, actually, from the Knights. Quick in their adjustment. 3 rounds to close it out in a row. They ended up winning. Of course, Order got out to a 2-1 start. Looked really good on Stat Trophy, but they adjusted perfectly in that 6th round on Stat Trophy. Flawless. The second flawless that we had in that opening half. 1 to Order, 1 to Knights. We now go, of course, to our second half. Order on the defense. They go straight to AVG, which has obviously had historically a decent success for the defenders.
You know, there's one guy in the server right now that has more than double the kills of the next top fragger, and that is Sage. He is having such an amazing game. And the number of multi-kills we've seen, I believe it's 2 3Ks I counted. He might have had a couple of 2Ks in there. Maybe another 3K that I missed. But he has just been ripping through Order, funnily enough, using the Knight skin on the MP5 Malusi for the most part. Fortunately, there's no Knight skin on the L85 that he's running at the moment, but hey, I'm sure he can keep up this momentum. Knights are looking to take the 3 points here. Like we already mentioned in the pre-show, Knights do have a shoe-in for that #1 spot and that direct invite into the grand final, but they're going to have to keep pace here with Bliss and Chiefs by getting every win they can. Order, however, they lose this, and I think playoffs is off the cards.
Yeah, certainly would be virtually impossible. Josh, he doesn't lose those. Specker just sort of swings out and he just dies for it. Nate as well falls back up main stairs. He's tagged quite heavily. Can still play off that deployable shield. A lot of ADSs as well in that area, but Knight's already looking pretty solid with the opening pick. Sage occupying 90, minute and a half. I mean, this is suddenly looking like maybe a vulnerable AVG, which would be disastrous for Order.
But a late setup as well for Nico. Kept that mirror in the pocket to adjust the late round. But like you said, definitely a bit vulnerable here. Order have actually forfeited top main. You can see that shield that hasn't been destroyed yet, but I don't think Nate feels comfortable playing it anymore. Since he's solo, one bullet will finish him off. Bailey maybe not the best gun to try and play that position. I don't know if this is the right call from Order. They're giving up so much free ground and they have a man disadvantage.
Well, there's like 3 of them just sort of squatting on site, but obviously they've got certain sight lines that they can see looking into different rooms down below. They've still got at least that from Bar that we actually saw from Juicy in the rounds prior in the first half. EE1D going to be deployed. One more remaining for Hayward after this as the gas babe to deny Dino. Josh from below expecting that player to peek from Bar. Dino's actually in. He's just going to stick this diffuser, and Knight's going to be able to cover him. Jack Daddy is very lit. Joins Nate and Bailey as well. Players who are already tagged up. Hayward finds 2. Nate and Nico, though, able to at least get 2 back for the quick trades, but that diffuser has now been planted.
Yeah, and honestly, this looks very difficult for Order to salvage. Knights have just been so good. Nico C4 far too late. That needed to be planting, denying the plant. And Knights can just clean that up. I mean, this is starting to look pretty breezy for them. 4 rounds straight.
Yeah, 4 in a row off the back of what was some good signs from Order on Stat Trophy. And I think one thing to sort of really highlight was Order played well. In those Stat Trophy rounds that they won, they played well. Knights took a bit of time to adjust. Adjust they did, but still you have to give the credit to Order. This is an Order team that, of course, is fighting for their playoff survival, as we do have what I would believe is a tactical timeout here called by Order. But Knights just playing some really good Siege right now. Of course, it is confirmed that is an Order attack. The Knights are looking good. And when they're on form, Sage is hitting all these shots. They're holding good angles. They're clearly trying here in this match to win this game. And it's definitely showing right now, Dev.
There's no doubt about it. And if Knights continue to play this well throughout the league, they could definitely end in that #1 spot. They've just been such a strong team in Stage 3. I think the pivotal loss then for them by the end of the season would have been that 7-1 loss to Chiefs. But for now, it's Order that we need to focus on because they need to win this game. I mean, the look on Specker's face, I feel, says it all. That little pout, there's a lot of pressure here behind this game. OCN playoffs on the line.
Yeah, and should mention, if they do lose this game and Roffle win tonight, that's it. They're out of playoffs. So we can actually have that locked in and confirmed by the end of tonight. There's a whole range of results that can now basically kick Order out of playoffs if they do lose this game. There are technically also results that if go their way, maybe going into the last play day could still salvage something, but we are talking about the ends of the earth in terms of finding said result. It would be so unlikely to happen. Fate needs to be in their hands, and unfortunately, it's in the hands of the Knights right now. 5-2, they are up with a 3-round advantage as we head over to Stat Trophy. Now, this is where I'm very curious to see how Knights are going to play this. Do they go for the more conventional, sweep across through AVG, take site that way, maybe a bit of pressure, say on the Astro Repel, for instance, or trying to at least get Pantry Stairs control? Or do they try and emulate what Order, and even to a degree what Chiefs were doing last time we saw this game on Villa, and go for that vert control down below?
I think part of it will depend on where the mirrors are placed by Nate and where the shield is from Jack. It looks like for a start, Order are definitely going to roam below. Actually, a rotation already made at China by Jack Daddy. And the mirror window here facing into Astro hints that perhaps Order won't really place much stake on actually holding on to Astro. Yeah, wow, okay. So they're just going to make it such a headache to be downstairs. So what they're doing is they're making all these lines of sight. That mooch jammer means they're likely to reinforce that wall as well. So it looks like Order's strat is like, let's try and reinforce and fortify this position downstairs. And once we forfeit downstairs, it's going to be so annoying for them to try and get vert from below because they're going to be exposed to so many different lines of sight. And they're really ambitious with their map control. Like, they're on site, they're below site, and they even have presence up on the top south side. So I like this from Order. They're trying to keep all their bases covered.
Yeah, but are they maybe going to be spread too thin? I mean, one mirror window around that AVG section of the map means that's still really playable for the Knights if they do want to fall off of any sort of vert play and go for that sweep across. I don't think one mirror window is going to deter them. Or that's a little bit of a shoulder peek. I think it was actually Bailey.
Let's go, mate. Let's go.
Oh, he got him headshot, Sage! He's up to 11.
Yeah, the nade was just a bait as well. He actually nailed him, and now Sage. Oh! No SMG, no worries whatsoever. Finally, Order find one back, but my God,
Ooh.
Sage is having a ripper. The rest of the Knights need to step up though, because here's Xenox. They're on the back foot.
Yeah, Nate with 2 A's and now 2 kills as well to maybe salvage the round for Order. This has been a fascinating round. So much pressure from Order applied down below. It ends up working despite Sage's impact by finding those kills. They've been able to, through the way they've set up, bring this round back, courtesy of Nate, especially on that mirror. And he was able to confirm the final kill in the round as well. 3 kills, a multi-kill round for Nate, and Order salvaging what could have maybe been another special round from Sage. They say no, they keep this game alive.
Yeah, it really felt like Sage was the only one who got on the scoreboard in that round for Knights. And look, we kind of mentioned it just briefly in the prep phase, but that setup for Order was just so good. The way that they had opened up so much. Oh, that little one tap. Wasn't a headshot, but still pretty clean. The way that Order opened up all those walls of Memorial and into Dining, into Kitchen, it just meant that once Knights actually took that control, which they did quite swiftly thanks to Sage's entry, it was really, really hard for Knights to do much with it because there's all these extra angles opened up. It's so easy for Order to get a refrag going. So I kind of want to say that part of the reason why Order won that round, really nice setup.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether to give Derp a lot of credit here or some of the other big brains on this team, but they set it up well, they played it well, and it's a way to get back into this game. Still a long way to go. At the very least, they've stunted this 4-round winning streak that we've had from Knights.
Well, how are they going to play Kitchen Dining now? Do they obviously have that same sort of approach, make it difficult for upstairs here, stat trophy? Castle Barricade actually applied just at the top of Astro's stairs. And so very much you think this extension is obviously going to be rather similar. And what I was sort of talking about in the first half, they're going to apply that here, make it very difficult to establish above. Obviously on site itself already going to be heavily reinforced. I don't think they will extend out to say like AVG side of things. I think they'll keep it pretty much on this half of the map dev, and it looks like that will be the case.
Yeah, I like the early E1D from Hayward. That's just mean that if Order are not in place yet, they will not be able to get in place, at least not without giving a little bit of info, which we did see 3 players pinged out. A little bit of early info on positioning for Knights, and they're taking map control so quickly here. The info gathering is fantastic here for Knights. They're leveraging the Jackal and the Lion both, plus all these pre-placed drones. My God!
Wow.
Bailey, literally 1 HP. And Nate's also been taken down, so my God. Looks like this roam clear has so much teeth, but that's a lovely shot from Specker, shutting down the man on fire. But Knights still have the advantage.
But the roam clear can only achieve so much until they eventually get to site. In order, you know, if they're committed to on-site, which the majority of their players now are, their final 4, they're not going to lose any more players to the roam clear. Anyway, I will say this though, Knights have done it very quickly, courtesy of the Jackal on Josh. They've been able to get across both second floor and first floor through library and along with living, and then obviously above AVG. Question is now, minute and a half remaining. What do they do to flush out the final 4 players of Order on site? We already saw Specker with some good angles. There's still a lot of utility that does need to be cleared. And these vert holes as well.
Be really careful as well with these C4s coming up. If Bailey finds a pick here, I mean, that would just be so stupid. And he doesn't. He shouldn't. And Dino shuts him down. So man advantage back on for Knights. Some really good positions. But the real risk here is either the flank from Jack, who's downstairs, shut down for now, thanks to the E1D. But the other potential is if Josh overpicks like Sage did, then he could give away a free pick.
Just under a minute remaining. Knights not exactly strapped for time, so Order may feel The pressure here mounting.
no.
Jack Dad does get out a little antsy here. Maybe just went a bit early. Specker able to at least trade technically around the map, 2 versus 3, so still only a 1-man advantage for Knights, but now they're able to drop down below, push onto site. Juicy into Laundry. Specker, the Nitrocell. Does he catch the mark? No, not quite. That was always a tough one. And then unfortunately through Memorial is Hayward pushing on through. They just clean up order on site. That was a beautiful sweep from Knights start to finish.
Yeah, and with it, they take the match point. 3-round lead over their opponents. Knights are really starting to come into their own. It looked sketchy for perhaps a moment there in the late to mid round. Specker really held on to Mem incredibly well, but Knights just very thorough. I don't know if it was just me, but it looked like Dino like tapped Josh on the shoulder just to speak to him. Just the funny way the cams are arranged to where Dino's hand went. It looked like he was like tapping on the shoulder, hey mate. And so he's like turning and facing. It looks like he's talking to him. I love that.
I think everyone can evidently see right now Sage reloading back into the game, so a little technical timeout here on the side of Knights. It's not often we get this sort of vision, Dev, where we can see the player actively trying to get back into the game.
Trying to figure out what his wallpaper is.
Oh, that's Damian Lillard taking a beautiful shot.
No, like on his monitor.
Oh, okay. On the monitor, that just looks like a mess.
We're looking right now at the guy who's on 13 kills. He has been really slam dunking every round. So many multi-kills and just such a star player for Knights right now.
Yeah, I think he had the 4K in the opening round. He had a 3K elsewhere as well. And he has been obviously very pivotal for the Knights as he usually is, but I think this is definitely still a team game by far and away, the way that they've played this.
Absolutely. Like, I don't want to take anything away from Knights as a team, but I mean, we just love hyping up players. And I'll give you another stat. Sage has 6 opening kills. 6.
Is that a Dev fun fact?
We've only had 9 rounds, and 2/3 of them, Sage has found the opening pick. I mean, there's been 7 opening picks for Knights so far. Sage has had 6. Josh on screen now has had the other 1. Sage is playing out of his brain tonight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least that's our early MVP sorted. We don't have to worry about the other games, surely, from here.
There you go. Write it down, production.
Yeah. Well, we head to AVG for this match point. For Order defensively, of course, they did lose this site in the opening round of this second half. They were made to be quite vulnerable early on, lost the player early, and a lot of control was established for Knights with so much time, and they just picked apart the defensive order. And I think they probably don't have to change too much. Definitely need to still maintain probably top of main for a little bit longer than they had it last time. And ultimately, they just don't lose a player super early on into round like last time.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I just think it was the fact that they had 2 players roaming downstairs in Library that was the problem for Order. It's an area of the map where if you try and rotate back to site, you can just be easily cut off, right? You've got that lobby door, you've got Art Studio, which is where Knights did cut them off from. The fact that Order even got one of those players back to site was a bit of a miracle, so Nate should have died then as well. So Specker needs to be really careful not to get picked early, as he is seemingly roaming in a similar area at the moment, just looking for pre-placed drones. But I just don't want to see the Order players roaming in a spot where they can get picked or cut off from sight. Like, they need to make it so that either Knights are forced to come and take ones with them that they can dictate, or they're just not going to give any ground or picks for free to Knights.
Order with the same lineup as well as their AVG site defense from last time. They're going for a repeat attempt. It's been a pretty fast match so far between these two in terms of the rounds themselves. We've never really seen that sort of 20-second meta. We haven't really seen a lot of utility clear out. We've seen a lot of action early on in these rounds. Dino through walk-in is able to at least see now all of that reinforcement that has been established. Mostly by Nico holding over towards Stat Trophy. Jack Dad with an early Nitrocell, very early. Dino down to half health. That deployable shield does get taken down though.
Really heavy roam here for Order there. This is almost just an off-site hold. 3 players and utility committed here to Stat. Bailey droned out and Jackal scanned, but he's still going to hold on now. This Scorpion is a mean weapon in the right hands. Bailey just needs to make sure he can control that recoil. Doesn't matter. Sage, his 14th kill is a nade over the top of the wall, and Order are being choked out.
14, 5 and 1. Second EE1D deployed by Hayward. Minute 20 remaining. And again, similar to the opening round of the second half. Knights with the opening pick. And again, Sage with the opening pick, courtesy of a DevMata fun fact. On the mark with that one. Nico straight back to site. It's deja vu for all intents and purposes. The only difference being Specker's positioning inside a study. They didn't have this kind of position last time on AVG. And Nate's still over towards main stairs. So two kind of aggressive positions still established by Order.
Actually, I think the idea here for Juicy is to destroy the hatch that this player is standing on top of to really put some extra pressure. Lots of XKRS, but just needs to make sure to time it right. So that
or maybe force the player in study to open up the hatch and go down and think that he can rotate from it. Juicy does get the kill onto Specker. He does not survive. Sage now has 90 control, and pretty much similar to the last time, they are just sort of strangling the players that are remaining on site, allowing them to get... what? Sage? What? I just don't even know what I've seen at this point. Lost my mind. Order have lost the match. Knights win out. Shots everywhere, flicks everywhere. Knights too good in the end. Sage.
Where is he? Does he just run off? He wins the game. He's like, all right, I'm out, boys. Just runs away from the pit. There he is. He's back. What was that game? Knights went massive. Sage went huge.
They were a very impressive team here on Villa. 7-3. It's very much a different result from the last time these two teams met on Villa. Just absolutely night and day. And felt like a flexing of the muscles from the Knights here in this game, what they're capable of, their ability to sort of readjust and readapt after Order got out to a 2-1 start was impeccable. And Vast, will come to you here. That was probably some really good play from the Knights. Order, they weren't too bad themselves.
Yeah, I mean, there were some rounds where Order actually looked like...
You're muted, buddy.
Mute team speak, mate.
I'm just muting I'm just in shambles. Yeah, I mean, there were a few rounds that Order played quite well. I just think there was just a few mistakes I noticed from Order that really costed them a lot of rounds, and I think it was just giving Knights way too much map control and freedom, especially on that AVG. I mean, they did adapt the last round, but I think it was just way too late. Their start trophy setup was actually really good. You saw that their setup was kind of contesting all around the map, and I mean, you know, despite not really playing it as well, it was still a good setup. And I just think when you give Knights that much space, that much freedom, they're just, I don't know, they're a really fast entry team, and when they have the entire map and that much time to do what they want to do, like 9 times out of 10, you know, their execute's going to be almost perfect. So I just think that was probably a big mistake I saw in their gameplay. I
saw the replay there at the end there, and I still have no idea who Sage flicked onto, if he did in fact flick onto anyone. +7 on the entry, 15 and 5, 2 multi-kills, 1 at 4K, 1 at 3K, 15, 5, 2.67 player rating. How is that? I'm going to critique you on this one, Dev. How is that a 2.67? That should be like a 10. What a match from Sage.
Don't critique me, mate. I didn't calculate the rating.
Yes, you did. Don't lie. Look, give us your thoughts on that one. Obviously, we spoke about it a lot. Map control was such a heavy emphasis here on Villa.
Yeah, crazy good. I would just say as well for Sage though, I mean, we're really popping his tires, but I mean, he deserves it. 2 multi-kills doesn't credit all the 2Ks he got. He got some really impactful 2Ks as well, and they don't get counted. Multi-kills just 3K or higher. Yeah, crazy game. Like you said, Vast, I totally agree. Like, Knights are a team where if you give them ground, they're just gonna use it, and they're gonna make those executes really, really perfect. We saw that. I think it was Knights' first attack onto Aviator Games. 40 seconds left. I think it was like a 4v4 or something, like pretty even. And Knights just was like, yeah, okay, we've taken all the ground we need to. Let's just execute. They just planted at Vault. They had Hayward covering, and that was all that they needed.
Vast, I want your thoughts actually on Stat Trophy specifically, because that was where we saw the adaptation the most in terms of the way that Knights were able to respond. Of course, Order winning the first 2 sites of Stat Trophy. Then they brought the Maestro. He was able to sit upstairs. That allowed Sage to rope down below. Did you feel like that was basically the difference maker, just having that second player to go with Hayward to establish vert control down below?
Yeah, I think there were a few times that maybe Hayward was getting a bit caught out by himself. Knights did adapt, and there was a few rounds on multiple bomb sites where they were actually kind of baiting him out and aiding him a lot more, and it worked out a lot better. I think Knights' vertical play on Stat Trophy was really big. They had like a lot of opportunities to look for kills, and I think they were getting quite a lot of kills from Vert. You know, the Maestro impacting on Master Wool, on Stat Wool, was really important. He denied like 2 Hibana sets, and I don't know if he got the last one. I think it was a slit, and you know, having that slit in the wall kind of worked for the Knights. They were able to, you know, kind of peek it and get aggressive on it, and it just limited Order's kind of options on how to push on site. So I think Knights making those tiny adjustments and adaptations really helped them out in the later rounds.
Knights cruising along right now, so let's go and have a chat with the Don himself. Juicy coming in as usual for a chat. Bit of a g'day. Congratulations on the win, mate. Very impressive game. I felt like Order continued to show signs of improvement after a bit of a lull. They started well against you guys. You adapted though, and honestly, the way you guys were playing, some of the best Siege we've seen maybe for a little while.
Yeah, felt good today. You know, came in with a game plan. You know, keep on a day by day, as I said last night. You know, a couple of things going wrong for us at the moment. We're just trying to fix it each time we play or practice. So it's good to see, you know, a couple of those things changing for us. And yeah, today's game felt really good.
Looked really good. You guys played super well, but just in the context of Stage 3 as a whole, not so much in OCN. You did lose one game to Chief 7-1, but in APAC South, I know you guys have been struggling a little bit more than usual. And I just wanted to get some insight there, because I saw Picnic tweet out that something about like he was cutting himself up about complacency or something else. Like, maybe you could explain, shed some light on kind of your situation and what you guys have been doing to get over that rut. I
think it's just kind of a little bit comfortable at the moment for us. You know, we've had, you know, pretty good success at the moment. You know, things are not that we didn't work for it, but I think at the moment, you know, we've just kind of eased off a little bit, which we shouldn't have, and I think we, you know, picked up on that and hold each other accountable for what we need to do to improve over the next few weeks. And I think that's what Piggy was, I think, shedding some light on as well. He just knows that, you know, we all need to get a little bit better, and he was just feeling that as well. But I don't know, it's just showing in each game that we're going to get better. We have those lulls occasionally. I think everyone sees that from us, but you know, by playoffs we'll be back in tip-top form again, so we'll be right.
Yeah, speaking about playoffs, actually, we saw you guys last stage using your coach. You had to kind of run the gauntlet, but you know, you kind of got pretty far despite being, you know, I think you were the bottom seed coming into playoffs. Having a higher seed coming into this playoffs, will that give you guys more of an advantage compared to, you know, past stages and whatnot?
I think so. I think at stage 2 we qualified second. You know, stage 1 we finished second. We played that final, didn't go our way. I think the first 2 stages we're just trying to figure out how we wanted to, you know, balance the two still. Like as I always say, you know, it's a juggling act. It really is. So I think the better we can, you know, we came to the conclusion last stage, the more wins we can get, the less games we can play in the gauntlet run, and you know, the better it is for us, the less VODs there are of us, obviously, and I think it can only benefit us. So I think that's all it is for us, honestly. Just trying to work it out.
I won't keep you for too long, mate. Shout outs as per usual.
Yeah, just fans, support staff, you know, Picky, Sketchy, Kata, all those boys, you know, teammates, friends, and for you guys for the cast, as always. Thank you. Wouldn't have without you.
You guys have just been winning too much, mate. You got that on rinse and repeat. Best of luck for the remainder of the seasons. I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
Lovely. Thanks, boys.
As always, with the Don himself. Don's good. Knights are good. They're looking very good right now. Where you probably want them to do so, Dev, you know, at the back end of the stage, going towards playoffs, going towards the matches that matter, especially in APAC South. They can bring some of that form over there. You know, their stage will still be alive.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it's funny to think that Knights in Stage 1 actually did top OCN regular season. Then, you know, unfortunately, some other team beat them. I don't remember what they were called or who their captain was. It wasn't really important. But they did, you know, end up losing that grand final Knights. And I guess they did outperform in Stage 2. Stage 3, I definitely think that they could take the whole of OCN. I did like the insight from them. Like, they're not going to slash during the regular season at OCN, because the higher they seed, the less stress playoffs actually is, right? Like, you think of Stage 2 playoffs, they had to play so many games, and they had to beat so many teams to just march on through that bracket. But no, just if they can end top seed, which they'll have to really make sure they win next week and hope that Chiefs slip up. But it's definitely possible. And if Knights do that, then they'll be going in straight to that grand final.
Well, the Chiefs are coming up actually as our next match, so we are going to go to a break. When we do come back, though, Rhythm versus Chiefs.